Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourselves in this weird, wild, wacky world, and welcome to another exciting installment of Darkness in Dublin. This evening's set at the Bishop's Palace, located just outside and within the grounds of St. Patrick's Cathedral. It is a large three-story home that you would estimate is probably in excess of 100 years old. It has a great sense of age and gravitas. You will notice as you drive up towards the two weeping angels that are located out front, each with their arms spread in open welcome, their wings furled out as if swords on their hips, the militant angels of the Arcana Seraphim, who must weep for the sins of all mankind. So, Mr. Weiss, you will approach first.
Well, he tries to be punctual. Well, I say tries to be punctual. Odds are he's only arriving a couple minutes shy, which is unusual for him. He's not looking so hot right now. In fact, he looks... I'm not sure of a good word to describe it. Essentially, he's running on fumes if one has to look at him. It's not that he's exhausted physically or even mentally necessarily. It's just like he has no energy left. Drained is a good word. And generally just doesn't look very happy. But, hey, he still arrived, and he's still walking up to the front door.
I will point out an important note. It is still raining. Rain teeming down from on high.
Even better.
The door is opened by a man who you guess is in his late 50s, who has a slight stoop hunched back, a bristling mustache, and he will look up at you from behind half-moon spectacles as he says, "Good afternoon, sir."
Good afternoon. I'm here to speak with the Archbishop, I believe.
Archbishop.
I keep saying it wrong, but my character would get it right, damn it. Sorry.
That's cool. I just like the fact that he's the Archmage who is the Bishop, the Archbishop. It amuses me immensely.
Hey.
He will say, "His Grace is currently taking tea on the veranda. If you would care to follow me, sir."
And he follows.
Okay. You are led through a series of rather uninteresting corridors and passageways. There are certain portraits on the wall, various different holy iconography. There is a picture of Christ crucifixion. There's a crucifix. There's a crucifix with a marble edifice of Jesus. It's all relatively quiet and sedate here, and you will walk out onto the veranda, and you are immediately hit by the sunlight and the warmth.
He's looking around. Can he see the rest of the city, or does this look different?
It looks as if you look out over gardens that extend as far as the eye can see.
Huh.
By the way, if you currently have any injuries, ailments, fatigue, or in any way in less than peak physical condition, you will suddenly revert to peak physical condition. You will be filled with energy and feel completely revitalized.
But does it get rid of long-term health issues?
Not permanently, but while you are here, yes.
Okay, so just suppresses them, essentially.
Essentially, yes.
He's
you
going
have full
to...
capacity.
What was that, Kim?
My bad, I got something mixed up with somebody else.
No worries.
He's going to definitely feel a little bit better physically, but it doesn't put a spring in his step or anything.
I will point out that your manic depression is in fact being staved off.
Oh, well, in that case, he's normal.
You go to kind of a happy medium. You're not very up, but you're not very down, but you feel revitalized.
So, normal, yep.
Mm-hmm. The bishop himself is seated at a table that has been laid for afternoon tea, and there is a woman standing behind him, dressed in a kind of a traditional maid's outfit, who is pouring the tea for him into a china cup. Good afternoon, Mr. Weiss.
To be clear, how old does this guy look?
As pictured.
Like, so I mean, it's artwork, but I'm guessing late 20s at most.
Late 20s, early 30s, yeah.
So yeah, he looks younger than my character. Yeesh.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to kind of look, but he is wearing the robes of office, shall we say?
Do you have any sights currently activated?
Nope. It's a little hard to get enough successes.
That's fair. You can, however, sense his resonance from here.
Okay, that's a calling card.
Incredible serenity mixed with incredible power.
Yep, sounds
As in,
right.
this is, for Finley's perspective, this is probably the most powerful being you've stood in front of.
He'll nod respectfully, and part of that's...
take a seat, Mr. Wax.
Shit, I'm forgetting. In the Catholic Church, it's appropriate to refer to him as... Then he'll slip right back into appropriate attitude for that. Hasn't been that long for him. And he'll make the appropriate niceties and seat himself.
The lady will walk over and she'll say, "Do you take tea or coffee, sir?"
There's a moment of hesitation for once, like he, for once, doesn't want to actually drink coffee. Because I'm guessing that addiction's kind of being staved off too.
Yeah. In this place, you feel like your ideal self.
Thanks.
As a matter of fact, you feel stronger than you felt in years.
Yay.
"I do hope you will forgive me," the Archbishop will say. "I have taken the liberty of inviting 2 more guests."
That does surprise him, but he just nods.
Kim, will the Duke and Karina have traveled together or separately?
Considering the Duke probably doesn't know Karina was invited, you know.
Same on Karina's level.
Okay. Once again, you will see the house as I have described it to you. I'm going to say you arrive both at once, just for the purposes of introing, but you don't arrive on the same method of transport, so yes.
That's all good. Oh, sorry.
Did it say specifically in this letter that extras were not allowed?
No.
Okay.
I sense an entourage.
Would be correct, dear sir. Okay. Basically, since everyone here knows him, it would be both the Duke and, oddly enough, not your Leland. Instead, the Duke is accompanied by the Oracle.
Oh shit.
Minuet? Or no. Wait, that is Minuet.
Yes, Minuet.
Oh, hell.
You brought the leader of the thug house here.
Brought the leader of the thug house.
I got 3 Fey Nobles. That's, oh boy.
Yeah, no, the lowest title one out of character is a fucking Baroness.
So wait, Baroness, Duke, and what's Minuet's title? Oracle.
She's...
How does...
Hmm?
Sorry, continue, Kim. I was going to say, how does her title actually correspond to changeling titles? Because they're different things.
She is actually a countess.
Okay.
Oh,
But in her house, she is labeled as an oracle.
So we literally have one from each rung: Baroness, Countess, and Duke.
You're
Yeah.
just missing a knight, the squire. Yeah.
Nice.
But of course he will be cordial and everything and open the door of their... What did we say his car was? A Rolls Royce? Yeah.
Yes, he drives a Rolls Royce.
Yep. He will open it and the Oracle will hop out. And then of course when they are both out and the Duke will look over and see Karina, and it's kind of that look of, what in the world are you doing here?
Trust me, Karina's face is much the same.
So he will just kind of very plainly say, "Well, Lady Karina, I did not expect to see you here."
It is a surprise for me as well, Your Grace.
Well, I suppose we better not keep our host waiting.
Right.
Okay. Important question. As you pass through the threshold into his home, do you have any items on you that could, and this is worded very specifically, that could in theory, under any circumstance, do him harm?
I mean, him harm?
Okay, do anyone within his home harm?
I mean, Karina generally carries like a pocket knife.
Basically, what this is interestingly enough, it's essentially a mind effect that means that it will take from you anything you perceive that could do harm, if that makes sense. That's its trigger. So as you pass the threshold, the ward will knock and it will go. So, for example, Karina's pocket knife will basically be poofed out of her pocket. Poof. If anyone else has any, like, it probably wouldn't apply to chimerical weapons because he, even though the effect would trigger and he'd know that there was something there, it wouldn't know how to target it, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, any mundane items that could, in theory, do harm, like knives, guns, items like that, that would be understandable. Poof.
Okay, so like Karina's hands wouldn't be gone because to her she could still.
No, your hands are obviously still there. It's items.
Okay. Sorry, you know Maze gets nitpicky. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, does that mean the Oracle just kind of poofs out of existence?
Yeah, no, because she's the embodiment of catch these hands. So I'm imagining as soon as they step through the threshold, there's just all kinds of poofs on Minuet.
No, because all her shit's chimerical.
Okay.
The
like, if I need to pop the word, I'll pop the weird, or the weird, I'll pop it. Anyway, my bad.
The butler will look up at you with his large, bushy mustache, and he will say, "Good afternoon, sir. How may I direct you?"
It seems we have all received an invitation from the Archbishop.
Of course. You're here for tea, yes?
Indeed.
Would you please care to step this way?
He'll incline his head ever so slightly.
He's very polite. He will proceed to walk you down the same corridor, and once again, you will be led out onto the veranda, and you will be immediately struck by the bright sunshine and the heat. It is as if you have stepped from a winter's day to a summer's day. A very pleasant summer's day. And the garden here is far too expansive to be where it is. As in, it goes on as far as the eye can see, and you know for a fact that the grounds of the cathedral end about 200 meters behind the house. Because there's a road there.
Except there isn't now.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. The bishop himself will stand up when his guests enter, and he will say, "Good afternoon."
Good afternoon.
We're now going to play a very fun game. Karina, what is your character's native language?
Oh, okay, this is weird. Kiara's is English. Karina's is Norwegian.
Cool. He will turn to Karina first, and he will say, in perfectly dated Norwegian, aka the dialect she would have spoken, "Welcome to my home, Miss Karina Stormfury." Or lady, my apologies.
Surprised, but not gonna be made a bitch. Karina will respond to the Archbishop and say, It is good to be here, Your Eminence.
He will nod. Kim, what is the Duke's native language?
His is he's plain. His is just English.
Okay. And he will say, what's his name, Duke?
Old English anyway. Duke Casimir Maldrith.
And I will...
But that is his Fey name. So
He will say, and I welcome you also, Your Grace, Duke Casimir Mald.
you want to do some explaining as to how you know his Fey name, though?
Because ever since he met Saisho, you're one of the things he scries.
We're gonna have some words because that's in a freehold. But anyway,
I don't think it would make a difference if you have enough mind.
Yeah, it would, because he'd need like a shit ton of cosmology to actually understand what's up with that.
That's entirely fine. But he will gesture very politely. Also, it's okay. We'll go with it. He, in that case, you know, to kind of do the proper thing, we will say he doesn't greet you. He doesn't greet you in that exact manner, but he will gesture for you to take a seat.
yep.
He will smile very politely as he retakes his own chair, and he will say, I'm led to understand that Miss Stormfury, you are already acquainted with Mr. Weiss. Or Lady Stormfury, you are already acquainted with Mr. Weiss.
Yes, that is the situation. She looks
wonderful.
nods.
Now then, may I offer tea?
I'm guessing tea is served.
Kim, does your character take tea? Or your NPC take tea? How do they take their tea?
Fuck, I don't drink tea, so I don't know how it's taken. I am a coffee person.
There's also the option of coffee.
Minuet will probably have tea with I don't know, honey? Is that a thing?
That is a thing.
Okay. Then she'll probably take like tea with honey, and then the Duke will just take black coffee.
Now then, I'm led to understand that it is probably best that how to express. Formal introductions are made. Allow me to introduce myself first as your host. My name is... Sorry, I'll do the accent for him. I don't do it very often, but I will in this case. My name is Bishop Alexander. My name is Bishop de Calvornay. Lucien de Calvornay. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I wish you welcome beneath my roof, beneath my eaves. I am led to understand that there have been several attempts at... He contemplates and looks at Finlay. Diplomacy between your ilk and mine. I felt as though I should make it aware that in many matters... He contemplates his next words. You will forgive me. English is not my native language. I am curious as to why there has been such perceived negativity.
Is he addressing the whole group? Just checking.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Due to many errors and misunderstandings on both sides, there's been quite a bit of built-up mistrust. As a result, Finley extended the olive branch. I think that is the term. Which we happily accepted.
I understand that this is indeed complicated, but may I ask, I'm led to understand that this comedy of errors began as it pertained a certain ecological issue in the form of the snow that blighted certain parts of the city. Is that, from your perspective, the case?
From what I've been told, it is.
He will look at the Duke, kind of understanding that this guy has the gravitas here, and he will say, I'm led to understand, if you will be so kind as to be candid with me, as I shall attempt to be candid with you, that it was one of your... He contemplates what would be the correct word in this situation. Subordinates responsible for the snow?
A man in my duchy was indeed responsible for this. Or for the snow, I should say.
I shall also be perfectly clear, as I feel that my words have been taken drastically out of context. I gave permission to certain teams of my, I suppose your colloquialism would be magi, that the snow would cease by whatever means necessary. To that end, I gave them permission to end any supernatural threat, as I felt that it was more than likely being caused by rogue elements of my own organization, as opposed to those of yours. So, my men may have taken my orders to the point of zealotry, and for that I will apologize. It was not intended as such.
The Duke will incline his head ever so slightly. Just kind of like a, an apology. Accepted sort of way.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, from a changeling perspective, this entire place, as far as the eye can see, is made of glamour. Like, so much of the stuff, but it's weird glamour, if that makes sense. It feels like glamour to you, but it's not. Because, quintessence glamour, it kind of feels similar, but they're not the same.
I get you.
He will say, so, I am led to understand that during this issue, when my men attempted to push the issue with your individual, that from the reports that I have been given, and he'll hold up his hand, he'll move his hand across the papers, a man by the name of Tane, he'll point to the name, yes, Tane, openly threatened two of those under my charge multiple times, and one of them took it as an insult to his honor. I'm wondering if you dispute this fact.
Yes.
There's...
Don't want to do talk.
He kind of stops and he looks at Karina and he's got that face of, oh, but go on.
This is what we were led to believe, yes.
And there is a nod. And he will then continue. After the snow settled itself, this Tane individual presented himself at an underground fighting arena hosted by the individual whom he had slighted.
Minuet will speak up at this time and she'll say, yes, that is indeed what happened. He was also promptly killed.
I was just reading Tim's post.
My posts. I make a lot of posts.
Just about the poker face thing. Oh no, sorry, that was Solon. My apologies. Sorry,
It's all
Solon.
good.
He will say, however, this individual was given numerous opportunities to, would the phrase be, he'll kind of look at Finn like, back out? Is that the correct phrasing?
Oh, see, I'm slightly confused as to context.
He's asking back out if that's a correct term for surrendering or leaving an altercation.
Sure.
Karina will nod as he asks the question. She actually understands anachronism quite well.
He does as well. It's just as to say he's playing up the fact that English is not his native language.
Yeah.
He will say, so this individual then, well, was unfortunately, may the Lord, and he'll visibly bless himself, have mercy on his soul. His life was taken in this altercation. I am curious as to if blame has been assigned for this. If there are, he contemplates hurt feelings as to this incident.
This matter is one that was spoken of, and while we agree that the situation in and of itself was a solvable one, she'll think about her next words, because she's trying to find a good way to say it, and she'll say, because of the circumstances, to push for more blame would have been an exercise in pride at best.
He will raise his finger and he will say, not strictly what I asked. I wished to know if this has still lingering left a bad taste.
On my end, no. Though I can only speak for myself.
His gaze will fall over the other two changelings.
The Duke will kind of look over to Minuet, since Tane in the end was house Scathach, so they had to claim on that bitch's dude, or that bitch's dude. Oh my god, I'm so tired. That dude's life. And she takes a sip of her tea, and will say, at the end of the day, I suppose not.
It also says in my report. By the way, is this the same lady who was at the fight, or is it not?
No, that was Esmeralda. That was the other one.
There were two oracles? Holy crap.
No, she's not an oracle.
Okay. He will then look down at his paperwork and he'll say, I am led to understand that the individual in question even offered to bring your man back from the dead, but you refused.
She'll lift up a finger. I did not refuse. That was someone else. At the end, well, let's just say I understand you have your traditions and inner tradition politics, and we have certain inner politics ourselves. Let's just say if he was brought back to life, he probably wouldn't have stayed that way for much longer. It was no use.
There was a nod. I see. Am I so far up to date on the issues that have been had?
Well, your man, Zaisho, did insult Duke Maldroth here.
He'll look at the Duke and he'll say, is that so?
The Duke will incline his head and then just kind of say, No doubt it was the conversation of, well, he kind of pauses and he thinks of his words and then ends up just saying, it was less him and more the fact that if anything were to happen, he'd run to you and you would deal with the matter. And I
I
can't
see.
stand someone who doesn't want to fight. It's quite annoying.
Saisho no Kage is a formidable warrior, for the record. I will give him his credit where it is due. However, ultimately, you will forgive me, Your Grace, for my candor. I am concerned with far greater things than simple squabbles over the matter of one life, or one life here or one life there. So, you may have my assurances. I have no interest in the continued conflict.
And of that I have no doubt. I understand, probably just as much as you understand, that subordinates tend to interpret their words of. Hold on. Tend to interpret the words of those above them to suit their own needs.
Of course. However, Mr. Weiss has raised an interesting point. The bishop will allow his very, very, very cool gaze to fall on Finlay, and he will say, "You openly corrected the first shadow when you made it clear that you wished, how is it phrased, fraternization between our ilks."
Oh, see, I think what he said was that, okay, the only time I remember my character correcting Sideshow is when he was trying to extract a promise of you guys won't do anything. And my character was like, wait, no, you realize we can only promise an effort. We can't promise a guarantee.
Oh, this is, as I
Like-
said, this is the way Sideshow phrased it to him. He's clarifying how Finlay feels by basically making a subjective statement that might or might not be true.
Oh, okay, so basically asking, he's basically finding a way to couch, like, hey, so what is your opinion actually?
Yes,
Give
this is
him
not
just
his first
enough room.
rodeo.
Gotcha. He'll hesitate, think about it for a good moment or so. In the interest of being as diplomatic as possible in this, I figure if our two kinds have been on the same planet as long as they have, and we still have clear lines dividing us, those lines probably are there for a reason. Or they would have been removed at some point. That said, my interest has up till now been in trying to ensure that there isn't some sort of conflict between us.
However, when an agreement is made, do you still seek the fraternization between our kind?
I have made a friend or two on their side of the fence, so to speak. And he looks kind of at the bishop like not wanting to steal the thunder of the council meeting upcoming. So he's just kind of like, if events fall in such a way that I am expressly forbidden from doing so, then that'll be it.
He will look at the changelings and he will say, "Mr. Weiss has stated his opinion on the fraternization of our kinds. I am curious as to your thoughts."
High character Kim, do you want Karina to go ahead and take this one?
Yeah, the Duke's just gonna, look over to her because the Duke has something completely different because he grew up, old school. But yeah, he's gonna kind of motion for Karina to speak her piece.
Karina will say, Mr. Weiss is right about one thing. It is, we have likely shared a plan for quite a long time. And the lines aren't quite clear. However, the problem is that Dublin is a big city, but it's not endless. And considering, as far as I know, there's no quick and easy way to tell us apart from one another. So even if we had said, no, there's not going to be any speaking or there's not going to be any interaction, sometimes you're not going to know. And I do not know about you, Your Eminence, but I, for one, do not find punishing someone for their ignorance to be 100% conducive to running a tight ship. What I can say is, in this vein, we have established lines of communication to ensure that if anyone were to say more than what is necessary, there would be people that would be alerted to, and those offenders would be dealt with severely.
There is an incline of the head. I understand. That seems agreeable. We cannot punish those who do not know the sins that they commit. And it is a poor shepherd who chastises the sheep who wanders and does not know why the forest is dangerous. As I've said, I thank you for your time. I wished to see the faces of those whom I had heard much about, understand their reasonings as people. You have granted me that. Is there anything in exchange, I have asked my question, that you would seek to ask of me?
It is quite obvious, though. It is always good to get things like that out in the open. Saisho mentioned a mage that was, while maybe not in charge of everybody, had the most seniority, making them the de facto leader. Would I be incorrect in thinking that person is yourself?
There was a very slight incline of the head. He will say, I possess seniority in the city. Correct. That is not to say that I am... He contemplates. In terms of my power, I am greater than, say, Saishio. However, in terms of politics, we occupy much the same position. We each speak for our representative tradition. I am, as I say, the superior in terms of my magical abilities. However, we only receive one vote. Do you understand?
I do.
So if there's any issues that you need to speak to the greater conglomeration about, should it be necessary, I can be reached. However, I'm led to understand that a rather wise suggestion, I believe, of either yourself or Mr. Weiss. I'm not exactly sure as to whom, but it was suggested that there be a permanent personage set up to facilitate the exchange of needed information.
believe this was Fenley's idea, though I am a result of its execution.
He will look at Finlay and he will say, "An excellent initiative, Mr. Weiss."
He'll nod slightly.
Very well. As I've said, is that all you wish to inquire as to me to Miss or Lady Stonefury?
Karina thinks, / Tim is thinking. The 3 dots are now on the Facebook IMs.
The what, sorry?
You know how when you message someone on Facebook and when they're replying, you get the 3 dots?
Yeah.
That's happening.
Who's currently messaging you?
No. That's my analogy for. No, not my analogy. My metaphor for Karina thinking.
Karina preparing a response.
Oh, okay, cool. I haven't had a brain moment there.
Just needs the typing sounds now.
Oh, Karina. No, Karina wouldn't be a bitch.
Karina would. Yeah, she totally would.
Karina would not directly ask the Archbishop as to his opinions regarding the Protestants.
Oh my God, for the love of God, do it. Please. Oh my God, it would be glorious.
And this is how the venue war started, people, right here. Everyone will come back here for the next year to listen to the scene. No, I'm just kidding. Hell no.
No, Karina wouldn't do that. No, the Archbishop hasn't pissed her off yet. But she will say, she'll ask. Actually, you know what? She'll say, nope. I don't think she's got anything right now. So Karina will say, I think that's it for right now.
He will incline his head. He will say, "Indeed." And your grace, is there? Oh, sorry. And you, sir, is there anything you would ask of me, or ask me, or you, madam?
Instead of one emissary between our 2 groups, I would recommend one changeling and one mage. That way, it is better than just, say, one mage or one changeling.
Finley looks confused because he thought that was the idea.
Yeah, I ain't going front. Karina's a little confused too.
Oh, see, I thought I heard the Archbishop say something about having just one person be the emissary.
He knows one person from each side. Like, that's what was pitched.
Shit, I'm tired. Like,
Sorry.
a massive wave of fatigue hit me like 10 minutes ago, so...
It's cool. To be honest with you, that's all really I needed. Because the Archbishop wanted to know, to formulate his own opinions so he can bring them to the meeting of the tradition meeting. So, I mean, if everyone's happy, we can just end the scene there, realistically.
I'm cool with it.
Okay. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness of Dublin. Fatigue happens, yo.